Hey everyone, welcome to Film Talk, a show where two gals talk film, television, and everything in between the reels. I'm your host, Elena Melendez, head of marketing and a critic here at FullCircleCinema.com, and I'm joined today by my ever so lovely co-host, Miss Josie Melendez, also a critic here at FullCircleCinema.com. And guess who saw In the Heights?
Finally, am I right?
Finally. We've finally seen In the Heights. We've kind of been holding in, barely containing our In the Heights, what's the word? Standing, hype, our thoughts and feelings.
No, not charisma. Emotions.
The emotions. We're just bursting with emotion for the past, we saw it a month and a half ago because we were able to see, some
I don't
screeners.
Even remember at this point.
It was in April.
But yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
It was definitely early. Which, it's a good sign because usually when studios wait until the last minute for reviews and reactions, it's usually not a good sign. So to see the fact that the hype for In the Heights has started so early, because they probably... Listen, it's a highly anticipated film. It's probably going to be the blockbuster of the summer. Whether that is box office-wise or just word of mouth, we can get into that later. But it truly is the film of the summer. A lot of people are excited for it. A lot of people are loving it. And yeah, they were smart enough to start promoting this early. And we have a lot to say.
Yes, we're gonna start with spoiler-free since it is, it literally just came out. It is available on HBO Max, but... I am going to say, prefacing this review, it's worth going to the theater for safely.
Yes.
If you can do so safely, do a drive-in. If you're in PR, if you're in Puerto Rico, Caribbean Cinemas already has drive-ins. They're showing In the Heights at the drive-in. At the Distrito T-Mobile.
Se me fue la luz. No! Okay.
Blackout. Our power just went out. Welcome to the colonies. So we're talking In the Heights.
Blackout.
Literally blackout. So, anyways, go watch it in the theater.
So in the movie, there's a line. So in the movies, there's a line where they say, in Puerto Rico, blackouts happen all the time. And it's like...
You're not wrong. Well, at least we have... I'm working off of a backup battery. And, we're just here, we're vibing, and we're thriving. So let's see how long we can get this.
Yeah. We're gonna
kick it out.
Appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, the show must go on. In the Heights.
It's on theme.
If you don't already know. On theme. I'm sorry, we're still in shock. So, anyways, In the Heights is definitely a summer blockbuster musical event, and I think it's really, really worth going to the movies for because of Jon M Chu's grand scale vision with his films, as we have clearly seen with the smash hit, if one could say, Crazy Rich Asians from 3 years ago. Yeah, I think he really knocks it out of the park visually with this film for sure.
So the whole appeal of In the Heights is how visually pleasing it is, especially with Jon M Chu's directing. And some could come forward and say he's a genius just by Paciencia y Fe all on its own. And the input of everyone involved, yes.
It's just chef's kiss.
Yes,
no spoilers, but just for that one sequence, Paciencia y Fe is incredible. It's genuinely, I think Josie and I have been gushing about it for a hot minute, genuinely one of the best just sequences or scenes overall in cinema. In particular, especially musical cinema, in the musical film genre, but just in general, it's just so well done and put together. It's visually satisfying. It's a very visually pleasing film to see. It is not without its issues, obviously. which we will get into with a little bit more detail in the spoiler discussion of this review. But spoiler free, don't go in expecting that you're gonna dive into the characters too deeply. There's a lot going on. It's a very large cast, very mixed cast in terms of like you have powerhouse actors mixed in with a lot of newer talent. And I'm not talking about Anthony Ramos in particular. There's like other like younger actors in the cast that do like they do give really good performances and they stand on their own. But at moments, at least I felt that it could be like, if you watch it, it could seem like they're being a little bit overshadowed in the scenes where you have an Olga Meredith, you have a Jimmy Smits, etc. These are really, really good, like old, not old fashioned, I don't want to call them old, but they are older, more established actors already. And of course, Anthony Ramos, an excellent protagonist. So with that balance, the younger talent sometimes feels, at least to me, it didn't feel on par when you had like such incredible performances from like these older actors, especially like I said, Jimmy Smits and Olga Meredith. It just really, really, really good. I think that they really stood out with their characters and in their performances in the film, and it's really worth seeing it for that element if you're not really into like the story side of In the Heights, because it's a relatively positive musical in general. Like, it's not like a whole lot happens aside from the blackout, as we can see. But there is a lot of heart to it, and in true, like, I don't know, like Jon M Chu here just really, really focused on the visuals, and it didn't really dive too deeply into the characters, which is it's a little bit disappointing, but I don't think it takes away from the quality of the film in any way, because it is, like I said, it's a spectacle. It is definitely, a magical realism spectacle, and it's really pretty. It's a very, very, very pretty film to watch, and definitely nice for the whole family.
Yeah, I think the perfect way to close off the spoiler-free section would be to say that if you are a fan of the musical, don't go into this expecting a carbon copy. Be open to the possibility that we will be seeing something that is similar yet original all on its own. And if you're not familiar with the musical, like the original Broadway production, I hope you enjoy it. It is fun. It is divine. It is colorful. It is energizing. It's spectacular. And what else can I say other than please give this film an opportunity, a chance, and I hope you like it. And if you don't, that's okay too, because there are a couple of things that we do have issues with when it comes to the film. But overall, it gets our approval. And yeah, I think that's it for our spoiler-free section. I hope you like it if you see it.
Yeah. Like we said, and I also want to reiterate, if you're not into musicals, I think this is a really good, like, gateway musical. I know Hamilton was like the gateway musical, but we don't have a Hamilton movie right now. But it's also like a Lin-Manuel Miranda work, so it's definitely more of a, like, a little bit more palatable for like a more general audience in those terms, because I get it, not everyone's into musicals. I'm not a huge fan of show tunes either, but this is something that you can definitely like enjoy. You're gonna take away something that you're gonna enjoy from this film, and yeah, watch it on HBO Max or watch it safely in a movie theater or in a drive-in and have like a fun little summer night. It's fun, and definitely a beautiful celebration of Latinx culture and all of its nuances. So let's get into spoilers. I know Josie has some deep thoughts. Ruminating.
Yes. So I can't believe they took out Inutir, which I know that it's hard to, like, when it comes to that adaptation process and adapting from a stage musical to a film, you need to make cuts. Especially the runtime of this film is the biggest negative people are giving to it, because it is 2.5 hours, and clearly you know they cut out so much. like when you look up behind the scenes, there was so much that was shot and people were able to see. There were behind the scenes photos online about Melissa Barrera getting a whole nother musical moment that we don't get to see. So clearly there are a lot of deleted scenes and a lot of things that were unfortunately left on the chopping block and on the cutting room floor. But you know, they just hurt me because a lot of us were hoping to hear Jimmy Smith sing, and we do hear him in some of the songs. I think only one. Mm-hmm. So it would have been nice to see more of Jimmy.
Yeah, I just honestly I can't speak highly enough about Jimmy Smits, especially in this film. It's just like I feel like if they had given him his number, it would have just elevated the film that much more, even if they had to like trim somewhere else, because like you said, give us the Chu cut. I feel like that's gonna happen. Like give us the Jon M Chu cut of the film. I wouldn't have minded like at another, even if it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes, I wouldn't have minded because it didn't feel like, even though it was 2.5 hours, it didn't feel super long. Like the pacing wasn't perfect, but it definitely, like, you get
the
into it.
It was pretty good considering it is, yeah.
It's 2.5 hours, and like by the first half of the movie, like you're in an hour and a half in, and then you realize, oh crap, it's been an hour and a half. Because so much is happening, but it also it didn't feel super rushed, which was nice. It definitely took some moments to pause and kind of breathe. But I think Jon M Chu just didn't really, his strength here in particular was not in the more like intimate emotional scenes with the characters. His forte was definitely in like the really big numbers, like the pool scene, and of course Paciencia y Fe, that intro scene, like that first really really big number is incredible. It is super like high budget, super good, like high production, and it's very very impressive. So for me, I think that really compensates for those moments where it just kind of felt shallow with the characters. It just didn't feel like we were really getting to know anyone that well.
Also, I just wanted to point out that I really wish we could have gone deeper into these characters, like you mentioned before. The fact that we spent a lot of time on spectacle, and one character in particular for me is Vanessa, because Vanessa was developed a little bit more than in the musical. Again, I've never seen the stage production, but this is a reoccurring theme when people talk about the musical. When it comes to Vanessa, like, what is her drive? Who is she as a person? And we see her have passions in the film, but it still felt a little too on the surface for me. But it's mostly because there's so much going on, it's hard to get into individual characters. And it's hard to develop relationships beyond what we see in the film, like not just romantic relationships, but also like friendships and father figures and all that. So the whole aspect of the film is that I really do think there are things that could have been improved upon, but still they tried, and I commend them for trying to do everything. Because it is a film on a grand scale, and we rarely get to see that when it comes to representation in terms of the Latinx community. So to see something of such grand scale and still try to go deep into the intimate relationships and everything going on with Usnavi and Nina Rosario and Vanessa and everything, I commend them for trying to give us the film that we deserved.
Yeah, and like Josie said, it's literally just, it's that human element that was missing, and it's not like how we kind of forgave that in like Godzilla versus Kong and all that. Those are like big events movies that are not centered around the human element. This movie is. It is very much centered, like it is yes, it's a musical, and it is a musical spectacle, but it is a musical spectacle surrounding these human elements, these human characters that have those passions, they have their motivations, and they have their very distinct and charming relationships that make you so invested in the musical. So yeah, in a musical, in a story like this, the human element is really important. So that definitely puts a small damper on things. But with that aside, extremely enjoyable, beautiful film. great for the whole family. And one last thing that I really, really want to close, like, and reinforce and highlight in this film is that it displays Latinidad and Hispanic culture and community in all of its different nuances and all of its different ways from different countries, and it doesn't show us as a monolith. It's not a whitewashed, generic, we're all Latinos and we're all, ir arroz con habichuela and that's it, It shows, Dominican people, Puerto Rican people, people that are mixed, the Dominican, Puerto Rican, Chilean, Mexican, and all of that. And it's just such a beautiful celebration of our different cultures as Latinx, as Caribbeans, as Hispanics, and the impact that has, the levels to that, the fact that this is such a grand scale production, this is such a summer blockbuster of a Latinx story to this scale. I think despite its shortcomings with the human characters and that story element, it just opens so many doors. I really, really hope that this is, a huge success, in terms of numbers, because that it just goes to show that these are stories that people want to see, and they want to see done right. So more Latina stories, more diversity, true diversity, with the different layers and nuances of Latinx culture and Caribbean culture.
Also, hire Latinas in front of and behind the camera when it comes to telling these stories, because nobody knows our story better than us. Like, from all cultures. If you're going to tell a story, like, again, we're not a monolith. If you're going to tell a story about Cuba, Colombia, Puerto Rico, like, hire people from those places as well. Because our opinions and perspectives are different. Our views are varied. We have rich cultures and rich histories, and our stories deserve to be told by every single one of us. So, highly recommend this film. It is very fun. It'll have you dancing out of your seat, singing along, and I hope you enjoy it.
And it is a tearjerker. So go in prepared. It is definitely...
Bring tissues. I brought tissues.
Bring tissues. The way that, like, me tocó el corazón, like, the way that it touched my heart in the beginning with everything going on, and, like, we are not la diaspora. We are Puerto Rican women that grew up on our island, and we still live here, and it's a different experience. But with that being said, I was still able to see me. I was still able to see my family and my culture in this film. Tears streaming down my eyes, like 30 seconds in. It's just so beautiful. So yeah, and that's just the intro. Rest of the film, just wonderful. It's funny, it has heart, and definitely, like I said, take tissues. It's gonna be a really, really fun ride. So I think before we keep on rambling and our backup batteries run out, because once again, we did this during, and we've been informed, an island-wide blackout. Okay, so that was like an initial report. We were later informed it was not an island-wide blackout, which thank God. But yeah, it was still a blackout that affected like pretty much 750,000 households, more or less. So yeah, that was our Thursday night this week.
Yes.
So timing is everything. On theme.
As our friend Sophie said, this is poetic podcasting.
This is poetic cinema podcasting, ladies and gentlemen, and peeps, gals and pals. So I'm gonna see how I get this up as soon as possible, but the show must go on. Pa'lante y paciencia y fe.
Amen. Well,
where can they find you, Josie Melendez?
You can find me at the Josie Marie on Twitter and Letterboxd, and you can find film posters at film posters practically everywhere.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain Melendez. And you can subscribe for free to Full Circle Network here on YouTube and hit the little bell. I'm a YouTuber now, huh? I hit the little bell to get notifications. Hit the little notification bell. Get notified every time we upload a video. We're uploading lots of really good content. We got lots of interviews coming your way, so stay tuned for that. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Full Circle Cine, and visit us on fullcirclecinema.com for more news and reviews. And all of the links will be down below. And remember, you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. I'm gonna go shower before it gets too dark.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.